Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Thomas Park. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out none other than Tunnelbear VPN. Now Tunnelbear is an interesting VPN provider in that it kind of categorizes itself as more of like a beginner-friendly VPN, and it kind of tries to go after that niche market. I think back in the day when VPN started popping up, this was kind of a decent market to go after, and it did get some kind of notoriety and kind of popularity, I think partly because it partnered with Linus Tech Tips, which kind of gave it a lot of kind of free, or I guess paid for press. It wasn't free by any means, but nowadays you don't hear about it too much, and I'm going to be trying to find out why in this review. I'm going to be looking at it from a critical lens, giving it the same kind of critical attention with application review, security. We're going to be taking a look at pricing, reputation, speed, streaming compatibility, and stuff like that to see if it can hold up in the modern day against other VPNs. Should you buy Tunnelbear VPN in 2021? That's a question we're going to be asking. If you guys want to help support the channel, go ahead and click on the links down in the description down below or on vpntierlist.com, and it will help support me be able to make videos just like this one that are objective and non-sponsored VPN reviews. Anyways guys, thanks ahead of time, and let's get into the review of Tunnelbear. So guys, this is Tunnelbear's pricing system. As you could see, it's $10 for 1 month, $120 for 3 years, and 1 year is $50. I think that's an okay pricing plan. $60 could have been more expensive. It could have been more expensive for 1 year. $10 is fine. There are cheaper options out there now, like WeVPN, Private VPN per month, TorGuard as well. But overall, this is cheaper than a lot of VPNs still. However, it will depend on if it gets stream compatibility, because that is something we consider about the price, as well as stuff like simultaneous device use. Unfortunately, 5 is a bit low. I like to see more around 8 to 10 nowadays. And additionally, one thing I've noticed is that while it does have like a Bitcoin payout thing, it looks like when I am trying to purchase it, it only lets me use my credit card. There's no options for PayPal or any cryptocurrency. I'll show you what you mean there. If you go back, you could see this information here, but I couldn't really get any information about, how to pay with those options. Another funny thing is that they have like this thing here from Wirecutter. Tunnelbear's kind of claim to fame a couple years ago was that Wirecutter for some reason deemed them the best VPN. I'm not really sure why, which is funny because at the time they actually recommended TorGuard as well. So according to the Wirecutter, they only really tested like these amount of VPNs, which isn't that many VPNs to test. I mean, I've tested 60, and that gives you a good metric to pick, but I don't know why you'd just pick from 6 VPNs. There's a lot more VPNs to choose to review than those ones. All right guys, so this is what Tunnelbear's application looks like, and honestly, since I've reviewed it maybe a couple of years ago, or I think maybe a year ago I reviewed it, it honestly looks the same. It looks the same pretty much since I first reviewed it, maybe even like 5 years ago. This is an application that knows what it wants to do. It knows its customer base, I guess, which is people who are brand new to VPN. They want a VPN that just does what a VPN does, and it doesn't have any additional settings to configure. And that's pretty much what Tunnelbear is. In fact, the only settings it really has is a kill switch, which is called Vigilant Bear, and Ghost Bear, which is kind of like an obfuscation technique in case your VPN gets blocked or you're some kind of censored country. The cool thing is that the tooltips do work. When you click on it, it does take you for an information page. I've seen VPNs with these kind of tooltips before. They never seem to work, so I do like that they actually put in the time to make that work. And overall, I think the application is fine in terms of usability and interface and just the way it looks. It's got a nice kind of polished feel to it, kind of cartoony. It has that thematic kind of Tunnelbear kind of aesthetic, and it has nice little notifications down there like you could see. It's pretty easy to pick a server. You pick fastest or just in the general area. There's not that much ability to pick a specific area, which is kind of weird, but again, kind of sticking with the theme of having it be as simple as possible. Some people may like this, some people don't. I would say for most people nowadays who are using VPN, they're probably gonna be used to a bit more settings than this. I honestly think there's just not enough settings. But let's go ahead and take a look at it in the application analysis, because that's to really truly see how limited this application is compared to other options out there. So taking a look at Tunnelbear, this is what it's going to look like in terms of the analysis, missing a large amount of features. It doesn't have stuff like split tunneling, WireGuard support, ad blocking, DNS customization, port customization, anything like the ability to even pick individual servers. It doesn't include a BitTorrent proxy, which is definitely a bummer. Any information about servers, a latency presentation. I don't think it has a Fire Stick application, at least I couldn't find one. It does have a website extension, which is nice. In terms of application stuff on Android, it has 2 Android trackers, 7 permissions, and 3 website trackers. Overall, Tunnelbear's application is just too simple to give it that good of points. It works fine, it's intuitive, but it's so limited that I can't give it that high of a score, especially since they've barely done anything in the application within the 5 or so years I've been reviewing it, and they have been working on it. They're just kind of content to have it not do anything or have any extra features added, which at a certain point you're like, how much are you just hiding behind this gimmick of being easy to use and just not adding features because it saves money for development cost and you're just kind of lazy? That's my opinion. All right guys, so now what about Tunnelbear's speeds? Does it have good speeds? Well, things are okay. I got around 15 to maybe at a high 25, 28, I guess around 30, so 15 to 30. 30 to 40 would be really good, actually top tier pretty much speeds. But the thing about Tunnelbear that I noticed is that the speeds kind of fluctuated a lot. We were getting anywhere from 15, we'd go up to 18, mid 20s, low 30s. There's a lot of fluctuation here, and that's not really optimal. I prefer more consistent speeds for torrenting, and that's why we're doing this test, because we get the most accurate representation of what the speeds are. Now, I do some speed tests in the background, but I haven't been doing them for my reviews because they're not as accurate and they're hard to get accurate. So I think this is a good indication that Tunnelbear's speeds are a bit inconsistent. They're just kind of mediocre. They can be somewhat fast, but definitely nothing out of the ordinary. Now, what about Tunnelbear's reputation? Well, I think it's okay in some ways, but I think the most concerning thing to me is that Tunnelbear just collects too much information about your use case. They collect, as you can see here, information about your OS, app version, kind of the data you use, the amount of data, so bandwidth and stuff like that, as well as other kind of events. Now, do I think Tunnelbear is doing anything nefarious with this? Well, probably not really. It's probably just the way they design the app and the way the app needs to be used for them. However, that said, there are other VPNs that have better privacy policies that collect less data. Another thing to consider is that McAfee did acquire Tunnelbear in 2018. McAfee is an American company that did purchase Tunnelbear, being a Canadian company. Now, this has kind of gotten some backlash because McAfee doesn't have, I guess, the best reputation nowadays. It's kind of known for that old antivirus and kind of partnering and just being kind of an annoying application on your computer. And so a lot of people kind of weren't too enthusiastic about this, but I didn't really see it changing the reputation that much. Tunnelbear, you know, has always just kind of been the same, and since this acquisition I haven't really noticed any changes at all. So I don't know if it really affects the reputation that much, but like I said, more concerning is kind of the logging policy. Other people do seem to be kind of more upset about the acquisition from McAfee though, so it's kind of up to you. Now, if we're talking about the jurisdiction changing from Canada to America, I also don't think that's a big deal, really. There are some trusted VPN providers based in the United States, and there are VPN providers within the 5 and 14 eyes that I do trust. A lot of people kind of try to fearmonger and stuff like that, saying you shouldn't use a VPN based within the 5 or 14 eyes. But if a VPN does not collect logs, it's fully transparent, it's within the RVP program, it is something you can trust. Unfortunately, Tunnelbear is just kind of get a middle of the line reputation here score for the things that I mentioned, like the too much logging. So what about Tunnelbear's customer support? Well, it's just kind of okay. The thing that I don't like about it though is that the application or kind of live chat on the website itself is just kind of like a computer bot. I couldn't actually get it to talk to a real person. I couldn't get it to request to talk to a real person. So if we're talking about live chat, I don't know if that really counts. It's kind of like OneScribes actually kind of reminds me of their little bot they have set up too that doesn't actually have real people. But yeah, it's pretty limited, especially if you really want to talk to a real person. Tunnelbear's website does have a support system where you could kind of talk about what kind of support you need, and then you can make a ticket, which is fine. But again, nothing full support wise in terms of live chat or immediate help. So you're going to have to be waiting probably a day or so to get a response to any of your problems. Finally, we can talk about streaming compatibility, and unfortunately, Tunnelbear does not do well here. It didn't work with Netflix in my test. It couldn't unblock the USA version of Netflix. As you could see, the Twilight Zone was not accessible, which means it doesn't work with unblocking geo restrictions. Not only that, but I tested Hulu, Prime Video, and BBC iPlayer, and none of them were working, which is very, very disappointing. So guys, thanks for making it to the end of this Tunnelbear review. So unfortunately, Tunnelbear didn't do too hot. The pricing's fine. I like that they don't push you to long-term commitments necessarily. The kind of sale pricing and stuff like that is a little bit more consumer friendly, I think, and other VPNs could learn from this. The application, while it looks cool and has this unique kind of looking design to it and is very noob friendly, ultimately it's just too simple and hasn't shown any improvements pretty much since I've reviewed it. Really only has two features, obfuscation and a kill switch, which, you know, they need more protocols, they need more security settings, and I don't think they're ever really going to do that, so it's unfortunate for people who want a little bit more control. And I would wager that most people nowadays want more control than what Tunnelbear offers. Finally, speeds are fine, got kind of mid-grade speeds, but a lot of fluctuations. Reputation isn't too hot either. They do collect more logs than I would like to see. At least they're honest about it. And some people, you know, don't really like the fact they're purchased by McAfee, but it kind of depends on you, how you view that. Support is okay. Ticket response times are fine, and you could send tickets in. They should respond to them decently. However, live chat on the website isn't really that useful since it's just kind of a very, very simple bot to answer the most simple of questions, which is basically just like an interactable fact page. Streaming, no support at all, which is very, very bad. In conclusion, 2.33 tier 3 VPN, not really recommended for use, except for people who maybe want the simplest VPN application out there, who really like bears and just kind of, I don't know, like a cutesy appearance and are fine with the bear essentials. Hey, I made it fun. Anyways, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and I'll catch you again in the next objective, non-sponsored VPN review. See you later.